Hope springs eternal for all 32 NFL teams in the offseason. For Monti Ossenfort, Johnny, it's time to make the chimichangas.
Yeah, absolutely. Can Monti Ossenfort, can he buck some trends this offseason? Is he able to? And why Robert Saleh's return to the NFC West should have nobody complacent over on Tempe Avenue. I'm Johnny. He's Bo. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. Welcome everybody on a Football Friday. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brack. Dawg, producer extraordinaire behind the mic, presenting sponsor on this Football Friday. Our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code, you guessed it, PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why. It's never ordinary. With Bet365, got a loaded show, including hold or fold the line ahead of course, the Championship Sunday. So we've got our betting picks later in the show. But, of course, kicking things off, Bo, with some Cardinal talk, specifically centered around the GM, Monti Ossenfort.
That's right. Monti Ossenfort, he controls all the cards as far as what the Arizona Cardinals will do this offseason. Of course, we can talk about all the cap space they have. They are top 5 in the league as far as cap space. They have a fair amount of draft capital, more than enough to make some moves and get it done and improve this and bolster this roster. And just like the previous 2 off seasons, you and I spent a lot of time on our wish lists, and these guys would be perfect fits for the Arizona Cardinals, and they could take this position group to the next level. And then free agency starts, and we start to see some names file in. Some names are put on the dotted line. The Cardinals make roster improvements, but they've yet to make the big splash move. Well, Monti Ossenfort will he maybe unbutton a couple buttons this offseason, get a little loose, and make some bad decisions for the Cardinals in a good way.
A good decision for everybody here. We already got over 100 people watching live. Drop a like on this video. Give us a like and a big thumbs up here on a Friday. And Bo, I think we've been overly positive this week. We've talked about the projections this offseason, robust free agent class, spending money. Hopefully, optimistically speaking, it's going to be a good draft season for your boys. But we also, as we talked off air, have to come to grasp with some harsh truths about Monti Ossenfort. And I'll kick things off here. Topic of discussion, in 2 off seasons, he's been underwhelming in free agency. Whether or not was intentional or not, certainly the first year it felt like Cardinals were just trying to set a culture. They were stripping things down. They had jet-setted DeAndre Hopkins and Isaiah Simmons. And then last year, it felt like, okay, well, here's your opportunity, Cardinals. Not paying a bunch of money to anybody, really. You've shedded some bad contracts. There's some really good players in that free agency pool last year. And whether it was because of maybe arrogance, maybe it was because of lack of foresight, the Arizona Cardinals and Monti Ossenfort had a pretty underwhelming free agency period. And that's probably putting it lightly. Yeah. Save for a Mack Wilson Sr., you got a couple defensive linemen, no impact. Sean Murphy-Bunting, underwhelming. DJ Dallas is fine, right? But why are you paying a returner big money? Just, if you're Monti Ossenfort, the missing piece to your puzzle right now, and you've got a lot going for you, draft, etc., is your free agency period. I don't know if he's capable of signing a free agent to an 8-figure deal? Well, we're going to have to see that for the first time.
Yeah, and I hope you're wrong. I really do, but I understand your skepticism, and I share a lot of it because, like, what we've learned about Monti Ossenfort in 2 off seasons time, especially when he's doing it on the fly, when he's taken over for the for Steve Keim, who unceremoniously resigned before the end of the season in 2022. He cleaned up the mess. Like Monti Ossenfort, you can check the box. Like he tore this thing down. He primed the roster for its rebuild very well. Like you can give him credit for that. And then he collected assets. He got into the asset accumulations part of his job, and he collected them. He got an extra first round pick. He had 12, picks to go into last year's draft, as well as at the time 6 top 90 picks, and then turn it into 7, right? And he added 21 draft picks to this roster, and I think he found future stars. I think he found starters on this. He found glue guys, which you all need, right? But now I think it's gotten to the point, like, what's going to separate yourself from the rest of the pack? Yeah. And splash moves are a big part of that. Is he capable of doing that? If you're looking at past performance, it's a different beast, but he was successful in it. Can he be successful in this and identifying talent that's going to hit the free agent wire, and he's going to be willing to make the offer that's necessary to really kind of bolster this roster?
Like the free agency crop this year, I think on par. It could be deeper than last year, but like the top end talent, I would argue, is not as deep as last year. Remember last year we're talking about, granted, he didn't hit the market, Justin Matabuke and Christian Wilkins, right? And there were significant headliners, Jonathan Grenard and Daniil Hunter, right? And you have players like Hassan Reddick-Delt. I just feel like we're looking at this crop of free agents this year, and you've got a wide receiver in T. Higgins, and you got a guard in Trey Smith, right? And then, Damon's boy from Miami, the safety, is it Javon Holland, Damon?
Yeah.
He's a free agent. I mean, you go down the list, it's a lot of Chris Godwins and Khalil Max and Amari Coopers and Sam Darnold. I mean, the top end, the top 10, outside of Trey Smith, I think you and I and Damon, we can just put our hands up and say, no thanks. No thanks. I'm not into that, right? Unless you want to deliver me Trey Smith for $100+ million, the Robert Hunt deal, I'm not interested. But here's where things get probably incredibly dicey for Ossenfort. Hassan Reddick, 12th ranked free agent. Josh Sweat, the 10th ranked free agent. Then you've got the big Osa out of Dallas. He's top 30. Same thing with Milton. So you've got a bunch of these guys that are not going to command the upper tier money in terms of free agency, but still will get good money for their position, and probably will be elevated based off the fact that the crop is not that great. We're going to watch Josh Sweat this weekend. Can he perform? Washington's missing, they're starting, I think they're moving their starting right guard or right tackle. They're doing a bunch of weird stuff. Prime opportunity for Sweat. Can Ossenfort convince a bunch of top 25 free agents to come here? I think the recruiting pitch too. Remember last year we were sitting here and people were like, players don't want to come to Arizona. It's a wasteland, and they need a good culture. Come on. JJ Watt played for the Cardinals. Because why? Because Michael Bidwell paid him the most money. Like, the recruiting pitch, I think, is a little bit of a fallacy at this point.
No, I mean, they want to, players want to come. They want to make top dollar. They want to reap the benefit states, tax stances.
Yep.
And then also, like, what potentially, kind of climate they can live in. And Arizona checks a lot of those boxes. You start to look at, really kind of deep dive the organization. And I think you're going to find that obviously the facility, it sometimes can't match up, but like players would probably be willing to give up on that, to cash in a bigger payday. And the culture is such a big thing. And I think that Gannon and Ossenfort have done such a tremendous job in revamping the culture that, word is spread. And if the money can be close, if not just a little bit better, Cardinals will have no problem landing free agents. They just got to be able to be willing to make that offer. I really do. I mean, here's the hard truths that I've identified.
Okay.
Is the numbers crunch. Like, and just how Monti Ossenfort has acted in the previous off seasons, it really does feel like he doesn't like to go into even free agency with too many unknowns roster wise. Like, when we look at this pass rush room, and you and I have been pounding the table, you got to upgrade the pass rush room. You got to get edge rushers. You got to do that. But I think that there's a very cold, dark reality come early March where the Cards re-sign a couple guys. And it's like, okay, Baron Browning's coming back. Oh, and Luquette is coming back, and you can kind of laugh that off. And then like you start to look at it, you got BJ Ojulari, who hasn't been healthy. You've got Zaven Collins, who's got a certain ceiling for production, and you've got Xavier Thomas, and then you've got two more guys already to that room. Like, where's the room to add? Like outside of maybe a draft pick, and that's rolling the dice. And the defensive line room that have already revealed the numbers crunch that already exists. You've got Darius Robinson, Dante Stills under contract. You've got the opportunity to bring back LJ Collier, Roy Lopez. And it's like, if they do that, that could be telegraphing that no big splash moves to that defensive front seven are going to come. And I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hope as well that is not what they choose to do. But I will say, and you and I have been on this, you got to think that because they signed James Conner and Budda Baker early, that they wanted to avoid that potential headache of competing with other teams, and that it would allow them to prioritize true free agents and court them and sign them early in free agency. Because what happens when you let a Budda or James or both walk? Well, you have to be prepared to lose them. And if not, that negotiation period is probably taking up a lot of your time. So you can't go out and focus on a Josh Sweat or a Hassan Reddick. I feel like if you're Ossenfort, that you did that purposely. Like nobody was beating down your door to say, go and re-sign James Conner in season, but you made a point to do that. You sent a message to the rest of the locker room. If they come out and they run status quo on the pass rush room, like I'm going to lose significant confidence in who's making the personnel choices for this team. And I have a ton of confidence in about 2.5 months for Monti Ossenfort to sit at his big board and operate with collegiate students. I've never had more confidence he's able to do that. I loved his draft last year, even with the up and down season from Marv and Darius getting hurt. I thought he did a really nice job. I think he's going to continue that this year. It's a loaded edge rusher class. But I'm not going to lie and tell you, Bo, like I've sat here doing 2 free agency tours with you under Monti Ossenfort, and both have been incredibly underwhelming. Like, especially last year when we made, and we probably find it, a graphic of like our top free agent defensive lineman. And we had gone into 2023 with what I thought was the worst defensive line in the NFL. It's like, certainly they're going to get a marquee piece. And they added a bunch of guys that at the end of the day, collectively, were overrated. And then you ended up paying them collectively, Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones, as much as you could have paid a Christian Wilkins or a Jonathan Grenard. So sometimes more is less. Less isn't always more for this franchise. So I don't know. To me, to your point, if we're sitting here and it's Baron Browning and status quo, and they're like, oh, we'll add a draft pick, I'm going to expect the same results, if not worse, next year.
No, yeah, it is the definition of insanity. It's like if you get like maybe one top 50 free agent and then a couple scrubs on there on some modest deals, it's not it doesn't match what you heard from Michael Wilson and what Mike is saying. Everybody in that locker room's talking about, like, you're pushing all the chips into the middle of the table. Because like I talked to Aaron Schatz from FTN Fantasy, and he's like the godfather of analytics and stuff. And he said like the Cardinals this season, even during like their downward spiral post-bye, like they were like so middle of the road in every category, like 12 to 14, like across the board. There was this team that was just middle of the road, and it's right there in kind of in the second season of a rebuild. It's so close that if you were to add and make a splash, a couple splashes, what it would do to that roster and how it would probably kick the door in as a top 10 unit on both sides of the football.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, why would you rob yourself of that opportunity when you have the assets, cap space, and draft capital in order to do so?
We would love mediocrity at the tail end of 2022. We prayed for it. Get this team to 500, find a way to just be respectable. And they've reached that. You've checked that box. But having a mere free agency period that you had last year, you're signing up for more mediocrity. You signed mediocre players, and you got mediocre to below average results in most aspects, save for a Mack Wilson Sr. So we're sitting here, and it's like, if you want to go and scroll down the free agent big board and target individuals 50 to 100. Sure, you might get lucky on a yellow to throw hold-esque, but we've said this time and time again. The league identified all year who the major players were at edge rusher and defensive tackle that hit free agency. And those are the guys that get paid and they perform. Grenard this year, he performed, right? Everson Griffin, Andrew Van Ginkel, those guys performed, right? Leonard Williams changed the course. You could argue the Cardinals season with how he impacted Kyler Murray in both of those games. I cannot envision a scenario. I have too much respect for Ossenfort, their pro scouting department. I know right now they're combing through free agents. That's what this time of the month is for. They're going through their free agency period in preparation for March to see who fits their needs ahead of the Super Bowl and the combine. Like, it's happening right now. And I just hope Ossenfort has enough self-awareness to say, like, we need better players on the top end of this roster. We can't just wait for rookies to develop 1 to 3 years down the line. These guys, I love Monti Ossenfort. If they go below 500 and they have a sideways season, he may never see the best years of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Paris Johnson Jr. It's in his best interest. That money is yours to spend. I don't buy the narrative at all that Bidwell has put a cap on this team. Come on, go check the Steve Keim receipts.
No, that's a ridiculous narrative, and it's grasping, and you can poke holes into it far too easily.
Yeah.
But like I get the necessity of, especially in year one, and then this previous offseason 2024, where you go out there and you raise the talent floor, but you also don't create any log jams at any key positions that you want to draft and develop. I mean, they've been as transparent as possible. Like, we're a draft and develop team. It's like, if you don't get out there and really go get and really approach aggressively the guard position, you bring back Will Hernandez, you sign Evan Brown, and sure, they take on starting roles, but they didn't prevent Isaiah Adams from getting drafted and seeing time, especially by the end of the season. And what, inevitably he's going to be the starter now. He was at the end of the year, and he's going to continue to be. I don't see him relinquishing that. Max Melton, and sure, he only played just over 50% of the defensive snaps, but you were able to get him in there ideally in a situation along with SMB and with Starling Thomas, and see playing time and develop. Nobody's standing in the way of the development. No, was you're looking at it, you just took Isaiah's 7th, 8th overall, and the guy can't sniff the playing field, or Zaven Collins. Remember those days where top 20 picks, top 10 picks would come into this organization and they would sit, and then year 2 would happen and they would have to figure it out. And then year 3 would happen. He's like, okay, we got to start to make a decision on these guys, and didn't know anything about them. That's no longer happening. Added the necessity in year 1 and year 2, they drafted, they developed those guys. And now those guys got you to a certain point. And now it's time to any way you can flush this roster with as much talent as possible. And that's really kind of utilizing your cap dollars in free agency, and maybe even aggressively pursuing a trade.
Another reason the Cardinals need to be aggressive this offseason, their peers are being aggressive as we speak. We're going to talk about what Robert Saleh's return to the NFC West means. That's coming up. But first, so fired up here ahead of this weekend. We've got good vibes. We've got football on deck. Everybody be sure, drop a like on this video. I'm a big fan of. How about Spinato's Pizzeria? How about that, Bo Brack? How about that? Mm-hmm. Did you get some today and you didn't share with your boy?
I did not share it with you today. Actually, me and Damon, we broke a little sauced up bread today via some Spinatos. Delicious.
Love breaking bread.
Fantastic, with a little za between Damon and Bo. And Johnny was just he was away, not getting any of that delicious. The sauce is what separates it with Spinatos.
Here's the good news: is I don't have to eat with those frauds. I can go and take my family to one of their many locations, including the one down the street here in Gilbert. But Spinato's Pizzeria, it's the place for Suns fans. We're going to be hosting watch parties throughout the season where you can watch the game with the Phoenix Suns and the Dancers and the Gorilla. How about that? Stop by to win a free opportunity to get Suns tickets. They've got gift certificates and more, tons of exciting prizes. Plus, if you got a decent jump shot, which I absolutely do, you've got to enter the Spinatos Pizza competition. We've all played horse on the basketball court. Well, at Spanatos, they don't spell horse Horse. They spell it Pizza, baby. You can win a free pizza for a year and tickets to a Suns game on April 9th. What's better than free tickets and a pizza? How about feel the energy and the cheer of your team at a Suns game for free? Don't miss the chance to be a part of the action. Bo, Damon, mark your calendars right now. Suns fans, feel the excitement of Spanatos Pizzeria. Again, that's SpanatosPizzeria.com, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's our friends over at Carol Royce. Maybe you could hit the streets looking for a new home with our friends over at Carol Royce Real Estate. Family owned, locally operated for 3 generations here in the Valley of the Sun. Carol and her team have an unbeatable track record, having sold 12,000 homes across the valley. Carol knows the Arizona real estate market better than anybody, and it's choosing the right agent. That's such a big decision, and too often you're left with doubts whether or not you made the right choice. And while many agents make big promises, Carol Royce makes written guarantees. That's right. You can rest easy knowing that you're not just making the right choice, you're making the guaranteed one with your home sold for 100% of the market value, or Carol's going to pay you the difference. That's great peace of mind there. And it's also a great piece of cheese in your pocket as far as trying to make the most off your real estate sale there. If you're considering selling your home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce, your home sold guaranteed realty. Have questions? Call today, right now, 480-776-5231. That's 480-776-5231. And of course, check Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. I don't know if there's ever been a collective skepticism from chat and the co-hosts on this show when Johnny said he's got a silky smooth jumper.
I looked at Bo with like the craziest side eye look I've ever given him. I mean, there's a -% chance that Johnny has a silky smooth jumper.
Let it rain. Rain dance.
That's good form.
When was the last time you were out there hoisting up shots?
Like on a real basketball court?
Yes.
Not like screwing
like
around
on a
with
real
my kid.
basketball court.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably half
No
a
pop
decade.
shot, Johnny.
I don't know if I've ever like been invited.
The play school rim? What'd you think we were talking about here?
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever been invited. Like somebody texted me and it's like, hey, we're playing basketball at the Y. We're playing basketball.
Man.
That's never been a reality for your boy.
That's
Not that
so
I'm into
That
that.
is rough.
We got to get a run going, I think.
I'm for those of you who don't know, I'm 5'6.5". Okay.
Right.
I was a high school football player and wrestler. Basketball waved bye-bye to your boy long time ago. So again, I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of our PHNX Suns podcast, but like casual basketball player, I am not. Do you feel good about yourself? Can you come out and say that? You feel better about your whole thing?
Invite to go just play some hoop with the friends, the
All-time
fellas.
spin zone from Johnny there.
Man,
Oh,
yeah.
you guys are going to make fun of me for my jump shot? Well, how's this? I don't have any friends.
I've
Nobody
never,
said, hey,
my
we're
inner
going down
circle, not Circle K, but my inner circle has never been like, let's ball. Let's hoop at the Y.
Some
And
of
I'm
my
okay with
fondest
that.
memories growing up, just hitting the court with friends, playing a little pickup.
Yeah, but good for you, man.
Hang in there, Johnny.
We all choose our own path here. What kind of path will the Cardinals choose? Will they be complacent or aggressive this offseason? Well, one team already over 2024 and looking ahead to 2025. Robert Saleh, ex-Jets coach, ex-coordinator with the Niners. He's going back to San Fran as the defensive coordinator. The Niners defense this year was atrocious. It was laughable. We laughed at them in week 18. And it was fun. But here's the cold, dark reality for the Cardinals, Ossenfort, Gannon, and company. We've talked about it many times, Bo. The NFC West was up for grabs this year. The Cardinals dropped the ball. They were 6-4. They blew it. And I think one of the biggest issues that a lot of us have when people are like, be happy, they doubled the win total. Does anybody think the Niners are going to sit out this offseason and try to just like run it back as a 500 team? Their moves have already shown you this offseason. They are going to be aggressive. Bringing back Robert Saleh, like say what you want about him as a head coach, he's an elite defensive coach. And I know their players are getting up there and they got to remake their defensive line. That's a good start to their offseason when they basically were embarrassed throughout the year. Couple that with the fact that Seattle is basically dogging their quarterback and won an upgrade on local radio. The Rams were a play away from getting to the NFC Championship game. And now we're sitting here and we're talking about, will Ossenfort get cheap in free agency? That's a concern for me. But your reaction to Robert Saleh going back to the Bay Area?
Bad news for the Arizona Cardinals. Bad news for the NFC West. Sure, you see good things like Pete Carroll staying far away from the NFC West, going to the other conference, right? It was a good day when he exited this division.
Yeah.
But when the shenanigans were going on between Tampa and Jacksonville, it was bad news for the Cardinals because Robert Saleh was out of the running for the Jags job. And, his next option was to reunite with Kyle Shanahan when his final two defenses that he had before taking the Jets job were top 5. They were menace. They were legit. And even during his Jets tenure, you couldn't knock the defense. The offense was the reason he got fired. But I'd like to, or I wouldn't like to say, I wanted the revolving door to continue as far as defensive coordinators post Robert Saleh. Never wanted to see Robert Saleh walk back through the door. Potentially he could, in just a year's time for another head coaching job. But it stabilizes things, in my opinion, for them on that side of the football that's been, way more volatile. Steve Wilkes was one and done there last season, and 11th overall pick, you give them a defensive front 7 player, and I think they're right back in business.
Yeah, I totally agree. Fred Warner's not going anywhere. Nick Bosa's not going anywhere. They've got Ufunga under contract. And say what you want about Brock Purdy. When his defense is giving him turnovers and takeaways, he can be efficient enough to disperse the ball to his weapons offensively. Is Brock Purdy ever going to be a $60 million quarterback warranted to carry his franchise? No, but again, I think he can be middle of the pack with a defense that elevates him. And Robert Saleh is an elite defensive coach. Repeat that. He is a top defensive coordinator in the NFL. And now it's something for the Cardinals to combat. The buying this narrative that people were trying to sell after the regular season was over, that the NFC West was a diminishing division. It's no, they had the NFC West had a down year. And look, 2 teams had winning records and 1 team was a game away from having a winning record. We're talking about a down year. The Rams are going to be super aggressive. They're not paying anybody. They're going to get rid of Cooper Kupp. They got a bunch of young defensive stalwarts making no money. Stafford will come back. That's just posturing. I think the Seahawks will be incredibly aggressive to try to up their ante offensively. And then you have the Cardinals, and it's we have Michael Wilson on our show, kind of showing his hand, no pun intended. We know we got to go all in and be aggressive. The Cardinals do not have the benefit of the doubt like some of these other teams. Mike McDonald has already won 10 games. Kyle Shanahan's been to multiple Super Bowls. Sean McVay's going to the Hall of Fame. Jonathan Gannon and Monti Ossenfort, it is time to make your mark, right? I don't think Michael Bidwell is going to fire anybody, even if they have a disappointing year in 2025. But do yourself a favor. It's time to take that next step. And it happens every year. Washington, ahead of schedule. The Vikings lose their starter, right? They lose their top pick. Doesn't matter. They win 13 games. All these teams that we kick the dirt on collectively, overachieving this year. Hey, Cardinals, it's your time to go do that. But you can't do it sitting out the offseason, nickel and diamond free agents, Bo.
No, and with San Francisco potentially beefing up their defensive front 7 after a down year, and already what Seattle's done, and it's we've been talking about Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and what they did in just this past year's draft post Aaron Donald. You saw Seattle, especially firsthand against the Cardinals, take a step defensively under old McDonald, and the additions that they have in Leonard Williams and the defensive secondary, between the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Rams, they're right around 21, 22 points per game surrendered, anywhere from 12 to 16th or 18th, and the Rams were on the lower end of that, but they were trending the highest by the end of this. So if San Francisco gets back on track, you don't get a break in the division. You're not going to have the opportunity to put up, a 35 burger, 40 burger against these defenses.
No, you're also not going to be able to take the week off in week 18 against the Niner team that's starting Josh Dobbs, against a Niner team that was a shell of itself. There has to be some kind of sense of urgency that when free agency begins, that they come out swinging, that they're connected to all the top guys, that they're flying in Trey Smith on a private jet, right? That Hassan Reddick has already taken his physical, that he's following the team again on social media, all of that stuff. We ought to be able to get our detective glasses out and say, you know what? Hey, Monti Ossenfort, he's on top of his game. Not, hey, you know who they're talking to? Oh, I don't know who that player is either. Oh, okay. Whoops. Sorry about that, Blau Nichols.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of you before. I was
Let me
optimistic.
Google you, take a look at the PFF grades.
Maybe I can talk myself into the advanced metrics and blah, blah, blah. It's like going through.
He played a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that was what we hung our hat on. It's like, well, he played a lot.
And then what happened, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't mean to knock the team side today, but, you know, they interviewed B.J. Ojulari, and Ojulari is trying to get back up and running.
Well, you say I don't mean to. You're going to. Let's hear it. With all due respect, of course.
It's a dead time of the year, so we got to get content out. Let's not do the propaganda here of this is the answer, because it's not the answer. We know it's not the answer. This is a cutthroat business. The Cardinals were led by Zaven Collins with 5 sacks. B.J. Ojulari in 2 years has given us minimal to no impact, right? So I'm rooting for him. I want him to do well. I'm hopeful that he blossoms into a pass rusher that we all thought he could be. But it would be a foolish mistake to sit here and say, hey, Cardinals, here's the problem. We have no pass rush. Oh, we're getting this pass rusher back from a torn knee. Problem solved. Ooh, check that box, right?
Yeah.
When we're sitting here and we're paying 2 safeties over $30 million and we're paying Jonah Williams to not participate in offseason team activities because he's not healthy. I mean, it's just go back to those hard truths. Here's a hard truth for you. The Cardinals need to start cutting people. They need to start cutting people in dead weight in February. They've already had contacts and meetings with Zach Pascal and Kazir White and some of these guys that they said, you know what? We've reached a plateau and a ceiling, and we're going to try to upgrade. Continue to do that. Churn the bottom of this roster has to get churned so the top can get stronger.
Yeah, I mean, Nichols and Jones, that's my main concern about no big splash moves on the defensive line, because contracts that they signed, you know, Nichols for $21 million, Jones for $30 million. The bulk of that money is going to be owed this season. Like we looked at the dead cap situation. There's really it makes no financial sense for them to move off of either one of those players. So that's 2 spots, Dante Stills and D-Rob. That's 4 spots of us, you know, at the deepest, a 6-man defensive line rotation. So like going out and adding Milton Williams, like, or the Big O, or Gayosa from Dallas, which we think would be a great move. Like, are they going to be able to woo that player and be able to promise him the proper amount of playing time, and then also match it with, you know, the big contract that he's going to command, either Williams or Osa on the free agent market. So that's just one thing. I'm like, hey, brace yourself, because potentially it could just be, you know, Jaggy McJaggerson, you know, just a guy, defensive lineman, as your depth guy.
How much is Monti Ossenfort willing to look in the mirror and say, I dropped the ball last year, I'm going to clean up my own mess, right?
Like, let those guys, like, let Nichols and Jones play themselves in their roles, and we're going to bet on these guys.
I just think it would be so full. Like, we've all gambled here. We love to gamble. And then there's chasing your bet, right? Damon, explain to the audience what chasing your bet means.
It's when you lose and then you just keep going back to the drawing board to try
double down, to get back your original winnings, right?
I'm really good
Johnny
at that.
Should be talking about this.
I'm really good at chasing.
I think Johnny's been chasing it the most. I mean, that's going to show itself at the end of the show.
The only time I make money is when I bet against the Cardinals. Chasing my bets. Ossenfort chasing his bad decisions on the defensive line, meaning I think Nichols and Jones will be fine. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to double down on that mistake by not adding anybody else. Instead of, what do the good franchises do? Oh, Trey Lance is ass and he can't play. By 4th rounder. Get out. I don't care about what we took to go and get him. We've got Brock Purdy. We're aggressive, right? That's what the good franchises do. I despise the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton, but I got to give them credit. They up and just cut Russell Wilson's ass last offseason, and look, they made the playoffs this year. They rolled the dice on Bo Nix. You know, I know, Bo, collectively it doesn't make a ton of sense. If Monti Ossenfort wants to look at me and say, hey, you know what, Johnny Venerable, I'm going to cut Bilal Nichols just because he's not very good, and I'm going to take the dead cap hit. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to clap it up for the general manager because he is raising his standards. Let's not sit here and romanticize guys that you foolishly signed last year that now you want to go to bat for, because you're going to be doing this instead. You're going to be digging your own grave, getting yourself fired if that's the reality of the situation. I didn't see enough from Jones or Nichols before they got hurt to suggest they're going to help you beat Seattle and the LA Rams. No chance.
Right. And, you know, the two of them equal just about one Leonard Williams contract. And it's like, well, look what you did, kind of trying to get creative. It bit you in the backside, and Leonard Williams kicked your butt
11 sacks.
Twice. Yeah. That was not great. That was not great. But
I mean, it's Claymore Jones said it. Yeah. Pig it up, that defensive line. Here's what you need to do. You need to slaughter that pig, and you need to get a new hog in here. God. You know what I mean? If that pig's not working out, get a new pig in there. Am I right?
Make Monti Ossenfort go do the dirty work too.
Give me some bacon. Now I'm hungry.
You're heartless.
I am. Listen, I have watched poor defensive line play too long.
Far too long.
I've watched poor defensive line play for what, like, it doesn't feel like 40 plus games now. Like all of 2022. But let's just say like the 2 years Ossenfort has been the GM.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? 36 games, 34 games. And then the preseason, like every week, awful. Every week, front four, no pressure. Every week, same thing. And I love Nick Rallis. He does a tremendous job, but it's just like at the end of the day, do better. Have better expectations, because if you run it back again, Seattle's going to say, hey, thanks, Monti Ossenfort. No problem. We'll take care of you again when the season's on the line. That costs you a playoff spot.
Are you going to be able to keep your composure throughout free agency if the plan is to draft an interior defensive lineman in the first or second round?
It depends on what they do elsewhere. If they go out and they get a Josh Sweat, if they go out and get a high-performing guard, and they just tell everybody, hey, we're going to spend money elsewhere because we have these players rated higher. We're high on Darius Robinson. Darius Robinson starting next to, give me a top defensive tackle that's available.
Because if they get a draft and develop guy and they add it to this mix, I mean, it looks just as good. But you're right. I mean, you do need to get the edge room. Like, I don't think you don't have any excuses not to get aggressive there. I mean, the unfortunate part is there's not a whole lot out there. Like,
it'd be gross negligence on their part.
Yeah. Like if they're signing Lucetta and Dumakagi or some combination of Gardak and that, the usual suspects to 1-2 year nothing deals, like nobody should say, I don't care what you're doing, you're buying low. Like we know what this looks like. We got to find a way to improve this position group specifically. Like, this has been, like, statistically, analytically, whatever stats you want to look at, it wasn't good enough. And to kind of run it back is just that's where it becomes a little bit malpractice.
I think the talent discrepancy at edge rusher is higher than D tackle. I think Darius Robinson is going to be a great player for this team.
Well, yeah, Dante Stills is already like, I think he can play. He could be a starter in this league. Rotationals,
And like, if Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols like play, that's something, right? But the edge rusher group, if we're sitting here, Bo, hook or by crook, and it's Lucetta's back as a restricted free agent, and Baron Browning is re-signed to like a 2-year incentive-laden deal, and that's it. This show, I'm going to be miserable to be around. I don't care if you get Lawrence Taylor 2.0 at pick 16. You have failed your fan base. People are going to be pissed. D. Mercado's 5-year extension might be on the agenda this offseason for Ossenfort. I like Monty. He does a lot of good work, and he's super intense, and he's aggressive in the draft. He moves up, he moves down. Yeah, like if Mason Graham, Dana, was available to go next to Darius, you'd feel good about that.
All
Yeah.
those. I mean, Jacob saying Derek Harmon from Oregon. Like, I love all of these. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah tweeting out it's historically deep defensive tackle draft. And I mean, Deion Walker, both Damon and I have a big time crush on that just mountain of a man.
I'll never stop crushing on him.
No.
6'6", 10 plus sacks in the season before this year. Like, I'm sorry, there's something there.
I mean, this division probably is going to go defense for the bulk of the first round. Like, San Francisco's licking their chops at 11.
We'll take a defensive player almost certainly. That or it maybe the only caveat is maybe a tackle.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's talk about Pete Carroll, what it could mean for Max Crosby plus hold or fold the line and your super chats. That's coming up. But first, people are saying in the chat, Johnny is 5'6", acting like he's 5'5" today. Well, it doesn't matter how tall or small I am, as long as I'm rolling around in a Sanderson Ford. How about a Ford F-150, baby? PHNX, a proud sponsor of our friend with Sanderson Ford. We've got them in our partner wheel, and it's time to take the wheel here in the new year with a new Ford from Sanderson Ford. Again, they've got vehicles that can make your year in 2025. Hit the trails or make your own in the new Bronco Badlands. I'm a bad boy for a Badlands. Sanderson has 28 to choose from with discounts up to $10,000. Purchase a new Edge for only $35,995, under $36K. That's a steal. They also took in hundreds of quality trade-ins during the year. The end of year sale, they've got 25 pre-owned vehicles with a warranty under $25,000. How about that? You're getting deals on deals. And again, for the best deals in 2025, choose Sanderson Ford for no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense experience, and get more for your trade with the easy spot-on financing. Dive into the new year with a new Ford from Arizona's most awarded dealership. It's Sanderson Ford.
Ever since I was a young man and I got my first cell phone, I've been a loyal customer to Verizon. And Verizon, it's a great cell company that I'll never stray from because they've got deals like this. $800 pay off your phone promotion. Everybody gets stuck into a bad deal, bad contract. If you're tired of your phone bill draining your bank account, Verizon is here to the rescue. You wish you could use that money towards something more fun, more exciting. Verizon feels your pain. They're all about helping you out. In a limited time, new customers get $800 in prepaid MasterCard to pay off your current smartphone loan when you switch. That's right. You heard me. $800, almost $1,000 that you can put towards paying off that phone that, you've got like an iPhone 16 or 14 and it's barely paid off. And you want the new tech and you're just stuck behind in that contract. Well, Verizon is going to help you out of it. Trade in any phone from their brands with selected unlimited plans. The deal won't last long, so don't get stuck on the bench. Switch to Verizon today and take control of your game plan. Visit your local Verizon stores for all the details.
Everybody be sure like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. If you're new, we got 554 people watching live. This is the #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast in the world, and we are live every single day at 4:30. Talking ball, not just Cardinals, but around the NFL. Speaking around the NFL, Bo, Pete Carroll, Sweet Pete, 73 years of age, out of Seattle, now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders hiring Pete Carroll at 73 years old. Might need a walker at some point during his tenure, 3-year deal with a 4th-year option. You like that move? What do you think of old Sweet Pete leaving the NFC West? Sneaky Pete.
Yeah, I mean, the guy just wanted an opportunity. Like, I love that Pete Carroll. Like, I'm kind of a closeted Pete Carroll fan.
Yeah, agreed.
I loved anytime he got up on the dais at the podium at Combine. He's a straight shooter. You can just tell he loves ball and just wanted any way back into the game that was ripped from him because the Seahawks decided it was time to move on. It's better than some of the other like crap box moves that have been made as far as the coaching carousel goes. And like to go from Antonio Pierce to Pete Carroll is an upgrade. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Pete Carroll, what he did for a decade in the NFC West with one losing season, the rest were over 500. Like the guy knows how to coach football and lead it in organization. So, if they're looking for some stability, I think he can add that in the interim until they find, who could be like. They need to get. They're kind of like in the same spot as the Cardinals were a couple of years ago, where they just need to find that stability, rebuild the culture, and show like once his contract is done and he's 75, 76 years old, that's an appealing job for top candidates.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what becomes interesting if you're a Cardinal fan, and we've got this sourced here, is that the Cardinals, among other teams, called on Max Crosby, and now Pete Carroll in the fold. Does that expedite Crosby's willingness to stay, or do you feel like it's a clean break for everybody involved? I heard from some people today who thought maybe Carroll's trying to win right away. He's a defensive head coach. There's no way they'd let Crosby go. And then on the flip side, he feuded with some older players, a la Russell Wilson toward the end. He knew he pivoted off. If you go back and look at those years that he got into Seattle, and they were 7-10, 7-10, and then they overcame and won the division. He got rid of a lot of older players off of those teams like Lofa Tatupu. So is it an option for him to say, I need more young players? He loves playing young players. He loves drafting and developing. Does Max Crosby fit into the plans of a 73-year-old Pete Carroll? It's definitely something to watch for.
Yeah.
Because again, if he tells his GM, like, I need more talent, we don't have enough here, and let's pivot off of Crosby and get some more picks. I don't think I could pull it off quite as well as Mark Davis. I can't do it.
Pumpkin pie haircut.
Yeah.
Lord Christmas.
Another one of my best friends in the whole world, Mark Davis.
Yeah. And Damon was hanging out with old Mark Davis.
Just a normal looking guy, a sweet man.
Yeah. Mr. Davis, can I grab a picture with you, man?
Did you get a picture with him?
Yeah. At
We've shown it on the
Bowl.
show.
When I was walking to the stadium, remember I left all of our equipment at Radio Row, and we had to go to Allegiant Stadium for the media thing. So then everybody else got to hang back and eat food. And then I ran back to Radio Row, came back in. And while I was getting cleared by the security, Mark Davis just sitting right there. My best friend in the whole world.
Did he smell?
Awesome
Does
guy.
he have an old man smell?
I can't say I got a big whiff of him, but next time we hang out, next time we grab a beer, I'll let you know on that.
See, here's the thing with this Crosby thing is I got Brian saying Carroll is 74. He's in win mal mode. And then you got Junior, who's making my point. They have no talent. They're trade the golden egg for more resources, which I think is very likely. So,
yeah. And Carroll hasn't shown like any kind of like inability to make a big move. I mean, he moved off Russell Wilson, and everybody called him crazy and thought, Seattle got the bad end of that deal. And, Sean Payton and the Broncos are still paying for it. But the problem is Broncos are in that division, and Peyton's got them on the right track, and Jim Harbaugh already got the Chargers ahead of schedule and in the playoffs, and Chiefs are in that division as well. I don't know if you know about them. They're in the conference championship again. So like, how realistic is it without, really kind of getting after this thing and taking current assets and turning them into more assets in order to put more talent on that roster? Like, I think of the Pete Carroll, like, heyday for the Seahawks, and the Legion of Boom gets a lot of credit, but like Michael Bennett was a monster. And so was like Bruce Irving. And like, he had some good front seven players.
He did. They signed a lot of them when he took over. He got to handpick them. And it's not like you wouldn't handpick Max Crosby. Of course you would. But like, I might keep going back to like, what's the likelihood that a 28-year-old, soon to be 28-year-old edge rusher is going to be able to see and reap the benefits of whenever the Raiders are good? You would have to convince him, and he's already come out and said, like, I need to see a vision, a plan. I want to win next year. You'd have to convince him that you're going to compete next year. They don't even have a quarterback.
Pete Carroll needed to see that?
No, Max Crosby needs to see that.
Oh, yeah.
To like
Pete
stay
Carroll was
committed.
like, hey, I'll work for free. He wanted in so bad.
100%. And I just feel like if you're playing the long game, even with a 74-year-old coach, like, would it have been better, Bo, if they had hired, one of these younger coaches that they could give a 5-year deal to? And it's like, okay,
who though?
I don't know. Scrub Dirt, offensive coordinator Liam, one of the Cohen brothers from Tampa, somebody like that.
No country for old man's the league.
Yeah,
like all those Cohen brothers are great.
I do think it throws a wrench in that he's a defensive head coach and he's old And maybe he's like, we're gonna try our best next year. Like, what if they signed Sam Darnold and it's like Darnold and Crosby and Pete Carroll? It's like, what a hodgepodge of like unique personalities. Maybe they're trying to get after it next year. I don't know. It just I get the hire because who else is going to take that job? But 74 years old, what can you even build? What can you even do?
Yeah. It's going to be tough. I mean, I think it's really just, it is going to be kind of giving it some stability and kind of giving them some respectability until a true candidate presents himself. Like, they were all in on the Ben Johnson sweepstakes and they missed out. He went to Chicago. But then it was like, okay, do we go to Liam Cohen, who's been, a different job the last 5 seasons? He seems this was his first year. He's a primary play caller. Or we go to a guy that can come in and if we get some talent on his roster, he knows what to do with it. Where you don't necessarily know that about the rest of the candidates out there remaining. I don't know what Mike McCarthy's what his availability is. I don't know if he's still in the running for the Saints job or if he's just going to do what he did post Packers and take a season off and then get back in the coaching opportunities next season. But yeah, 73 years old. He's going to be 74 in September. I mean, that's pretty crazy. There's got to be some sort of plan between, and like, take Mark Davis out of the equation because he doesn't know what he's doing. But like Brady and the new brain trust there in Vegas, like, is Carroll just like, I'm just gonna steady these waters for the next 3 years, and maybe along the way we win some football games.
That to me screams, let's trade any asset we have and try to go out and start fresh. You need a blank canvas.
I don't know if they trade. I don't know if I think that there's like very real possibility that Crosby plays this year and then the final year of his deal they try to get off.
Here's what I think about it, and it's highlighted here in the chat by my ex-wife. He says that the Raiders are like it's been a turnstile of just horrible coaches year in, year out. Like, they just needed to raise the floor. That's probably the way that they're looking at it. Get a guy in that won't be terrible.
I'm gonna read you guys. Yeah, I agree with that, Damon. I think
like Josh McDaniels getting a job, it's such a blessing to them because they were on the hook for every single dime of his previous coaching contract before that. Like, they were paying Josh McDaniels $10 million. They're still paying John Gruden $10 million a year. It's unreal. Antonio Pierce, they're on the hook for his entire contract. There's so much money going to ex-coaches.
Tell me, I'm going to read you guys. Tell me if you've heard of a worse starting 11 on either side of the ball. I'm going to do this real quick because it's egregious. Aiden O'Connell, quarterback, Amir Abdullah, Jacoby Myers, Terrence Marshall, Trey Tucker. Then they have Bowers, Colton Miller, Jackson Powers Johnson, Andre James, Dylan Parham, Thayer Munford Jr., Tyree Wilson, huge. John Jenkins, Adam Butler, and they've got Crosby, Divine Diablo.
Did you know as you like, you don't need to, you could just, are you making up?
No, I want to wrap up here. Tommy Eichenberg, Jack Jones. Yes, Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs. I mean, like, who are these players? Who are the Raiders? I don't know any of these guys. Saying for like 2 or 3 guys here.
Did you know they had 2,000-yard receivers?
Yeah, more than the Cardinals did. Jacoby Myers had a good year. He's a good player.
Isn't that crazy? Jacoby Myers had 1,000 yards. Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers had 1,000 yards.
Somebody show that
to
Drew.
Is crazy.
Hey, Drew Petzing. Raiders are doing it. Can you do it?
With that quarterback situation?
That quarterback situation.
In that division? Just letting it rip down 20 points every Sunday. They're
Jacoby Myers, you got him 87 catches for 1,027. 4 touchdowns, more touchdowns than Trey McBride.
I like AOC as a backup, though. I really do. I think that's one of the better backups in the league.
Just can't look at his face. He's got a punchable face, doesn't he? Aiden O'Connell.
His mustache is crazy.
It's so bad. It's like he knows he's trying to be dirty, like a dirty boy. And it's
we
like,
got a break.
Come on. That his headshot. Hang on, Damon. We're gonna do hold or fold the line. I need you to give me this photo for the last segment here. Hang on a second. Hang on. I'm sending this to Damon. We're gonna do hold or fold the line, and then I want to look at Aiden O'Connell's dirty stash. That's coming up.
It's gross. I want to tell everybody about our friends over at Colt Cannabis and True Leave. Love, of course, the newest collaboration between two of our favorite companies over here at PHNX. Personally, two of my favorite companies. Of course, you're looking for the goods, the great flower. It's fine, but Colt Cannabis has been cooking it up these days, and they've been dropping them off here at PHNX Studios, and now they're at your local True Leave. Go check out your local True Leave shops near you and place an order and tell them your friends over at PHNX Cardinals told you about them. Includes, of course, their Magic Marker strain over at True Leave. True Leave location also just opened up in Maricopa. They're all over the Valley of the Sun, and Colt Cannabis is there, right there with them. Get over to TrueLeave.com. Find your local shop, place your order, and tell them PHNX sent you. Get in on that exclusive Magic Marker strain that the Valley has been asking for so long, and she's back with Colt Cannabis and in True Leave locations, TrueLeave.com as well.
Aiden O'Connell, 8 touchdowns to 4 picks last year. Looking good, trending up. What's always trending up is our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals, PHNX Sports, and the Venerable household. That's because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicating to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. Look for Desert Financial for checking, savings, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. And the coup de grace, it's the chef's kiss. It's the Desert Financial debit card with the Bird Gang. Check it out right now. I'm going to pull it up here with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. You can see one of the 3 debit cards available. They got the helmet, the bird, the player. All you got to do, open up a free checking account online. Did I mention it was free? DesertFinancial.com/CardinalsBow to get started. Pick the debit card of your choosing. It's in the mail a couple days after the fact. Desert Financial, level up your financial acumen today.
Love Desert Financial.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of when I go out and I just throw down my Desert Financial debit card and people are like, wow, that's sharp. You must be a high roller. And I'm like, yes, indeed. That's what that means.
You're going to be doing that. You're going to be doing that in Indy in about 4 weeks' time when we're all at the combine. The fellas are back out
for
there.
Anybody else's food, but yeah, sure. I'll pay.
Johnny made the reservation for those wondering about Steakgate. It goes down.
Steakgate.
Johnny's foot in the bill too, I heard.
I think that's
I
what
heard
he was
rumors
just
of that.
No.
That's really nice of you, Johnny.
I'll pay for
That's
the
really nice
complimentary bread. The free bread.
Johnny, he wants so much credit for making the reservation, which he did during one of our meetings today. He got on it, and last time he held that over our head. He was like, "I made the reservation for us to go out there."
And you guys come at me about my steak?
Yeah, because I was just trying to sit there, have a meal. We're here to have a meal, and it's like in my face, loser, little boy can't finish his steak. And I'm like, I took the time to make these reservations. How dare you?
Hold on, Damon and myself never called you a little boy.
You got this close to my face and called me a little boy, like a grade school boy.
I grabbed Johnny by the collar of his shirt. I said, "Listen here.
This is a table of grown men. We finish our meal."
That's right. Go get your Jan Sport backpack with Bryce Young. That's what they told me. If you're watching on one of your, there it is. If you're watching with one of our streaming partners, you're horrified by the image on the screen. Jump on over to GoPHNX.com where you can see Aiden O'Connell's face. Become a diehard at GoPHNX.com. Again, big thanks to all of our streaming partners. And big thanks to everybody. We got 620 people liking this video. Let's look at that photo one more time before I throw up. Aiden O'Connell went to, and I can't believe this isn't a bigger deal. I never saw anybody talk about this. He went to team photo day and he's like, this is what I want to do. And you look at that, it's like, is that a guard? Is that a backup punter? That's the quarterback of the Raiders. That's what they're rolling with right now with that stash. What do you
When we were in Vegas last year, they on Radio Row, they had Antonio Pierce and they had Aiden O'Connell walking out like they were big men on campus. And you should have just known then that they were just doomed for a horrible season in 2024. That does not look like an NFL quarterback, even though he does look like he could be a relative of mine. Sans stash.
That thing Colin Cowherd always used to say, it's like, you got to have QB face. That's the opposite of QB face right there.
How does that work with Eli Manning?
I don't know, because he's a Manning face, so he's like grandfathered in, maybe. Quarterback face. That's just a punch. That's a punchable face. You just want to do this to your screen.
Yeah, Colin Cowherd's thing is like, would you let that quarterback date your daughter?
No.
And I think AOC, I mean, off the table there, right?
Yeah.
Done.
Rocking that stash, no doubt about it.
What's on the table for this week? Hold or fold the line. Bo Brack making a triumphant return to respectability after last week, Bo. Bum. You did it.
This was the hold or fold the lines last week. I went Bills money line. Could be a theme. Plus 100. It was a big fat winner. I was cashing it. Damon, you did not hit the Nico Collins anytime tutty. He had a pretty quiet game for the Texans.
He had 80 yards.
Okay. And
8 catches, 8 targets actually.
And then Johnny was just it was a sweat, man. But it didn't cash. Rams money line plus 225.
McVay's crying in the locker room, so that's like me hitting. Like I feel like that's a win for me when McVay cries.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But Philly came out with the dub.
Johnny, curious. Obviously, I've taken a lot of flack this season for picking plus money bets that were in the low 100s. Our friend Bo Brack there plus 100, barely even plus money. Me and you going for some big shots there, and Bo just chalking it up. Going into this week, any concern about Bo doing that again? While the boys try to put some big money on the board.
There's such a thing as when you're down so bad, like Bo, like our co-host here, you just need a win. How many times it's just like, man, a win would cure everything. It's the most layup approach, and he just needs some positive momentum. So while Damon, it's never something I would do. I have too much credibility. I do think that Bo is in a position where he had lost so many, and you and I were just stacking wins that he had to get back in the win column. What was really gross though, Damon, given the fact that it was only plus 100, feverishly texting us and mentioning on other shows that he beat us this week. It's like, hey, congratulations! You want a plus 100 bet? I remember my first bet too.
You guys can sit there and you can talk about all the value and look at the big gaudy number that I have. Look at how I put it all myself on the table there. Take a look at it. Everybody take it in, and then it doesn't cash. And all the value's out the window. But I'm giving you value and I'm giving you results, wins. I've won back-to-back. And by God, if I win this week, that's a win streak. That's 3 in a row.
Someone go back and check the tape of how Bo was coming at me when I was saying the exact same things all season long. Just, the only guy in plus money all season long. And speaking of updated standings, Johnny, I'm sorry, you're back to last.
Well. Remember that big old speech you just made about chasing
I don't know if
it?
that's correct, Damon. We need to check the math there. Get your calculator out.
Johnny, if you hit last week's Rams bet, you would have been in the positive.
I would have been probably in first place.
No, well, that's not true, but you would have been in the positive.
I'm at minus 2.5 units. Johnny's at minus 2.8 units. Damon's still in the green. 1.75 units.
The panic button is on the table right now for me. I've been in the green since week 1 this season, and
distance, Damon.
Basically, I just needed to win 1 bet in the last 5 bets of this season to stay positive. If I lose the next 2, I will finish negative.
Nice. I want that. I almost want that more than I want to finish positive.
I don't want that for you.
I do. I feel great about my bets this week. You have to get dirty in the championship round and en route to the Super Bowl. This is not cupcake time. This isn't grade school bets. This is where you separate the men from the boys. And I'm anxious to see what Bo did. I'm sure he's going with Bill's money line after teasing that. But let's see it, Bo. I have no idea what you picked. Let's get started. Oh, there it is.
I am going to Bill's money line. Get a little bit more value after plus 100 bet last week. I've got him at plus 110. They are 2.5-point dogs on the road at KC. The playoffs and the Chiefs haven't been kind to Josh Allen. And I think I'm going to become the beneficiary from that this week as they are Giant Slayers, continue their run, taking down the best the NFL has to offer. Take down the gross Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, end this nightmare for NFL fans.
Wow, you're so brave. Plus 100 to plus 110. Really taking a leap of faith there.
Johnny, you know what my issue was? And I brought this up to Bo earlier today. Look at where Bo's at in the standings. He's at minus 2.5 units. Why are we going for plus 110 right now?
I mean, he likes talking about the winning streak. I think he
but
likes
but is he trying to finish in the yellow? Like at least Johnny's going for it. At least Johnny's like, hey, I want to be in the green.
There's never been a week I didn't go for it. I'm
now hold on, Damon. Where does plus 110 put me after the conference championship? If I cash, where does it put minus 2.5?
You'll be at minus 1.4.
Okay. So then I'll be in a prime position going into the final game of the season to get in the plus. If I take a big swing now and I lose, I just torpedo my chances of finishing with positive money.
My bet is over plus 300, and that's the lowest I'm going to do for the rest of the year. My Super Bowl bet will be bigger than that. That's how I operate. But you guys do what you want.
Speaking of bravery.
I am folding Bo on this. I think Kansas City wins, by the way, in case anybody's interested.
I fear that Bo, if I was a man without principle, I would hold here with Bo, but I stand for very little in life, and one of those things is
I've heard that
the Bills losing in the playoffs, and so I'm gonna fold it just solely from personal perspective, but I do think the Bills are going to win this football game.
Yeah, man, I see right through both of you guys, and that's fine. I mean, I knew this was coming. Like with winning back-to-back weeks, there is jealousy, and that's fine. I can understand that.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think Buffalo's got too many flaws defensively. They're missing their best safety. One of their corners is questionable. I think it's going to be chalk it up for Kansas City. Damon, speaking of Kansas City, you're welcoming back an old friend here of the Arizona Cardinals. It's D-Hop. Tell us about it.
I am. DeAndre Hopkins, 4+ catches at plus 280. It was just value I couldn't really pass up. He had a bad game last week, right? So I think that's why that number is so low. Only 1 target, 0 catches. But before that, 4 targets, 6 targets, 9 targets, 9 targets, 6 targets. I think that this plus 280 number is extremely low. There's not enough receivers in that Kansas City offense. And I'm really just value hunting here. You know, I like the plus 280, and I just want to give the people some winners at the end of this season. That's what I'm about, Bo. I it's, you can do your little, soft boy. I'm going to get plus 110 bets, but I'm going for a dagger right now. I want to end this before it even gets into Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, you're collapsed. It's sad. You hate to see somebody that's down this bad, and just as Johnny, I think he was kind of foreshadowing, making you describe what chasing it is, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're just we're getting a little reckless, and I feel bad for you overall.
Yeah, Damon, get help.
He was shut out as you pointed out against the Texans, and then he had 2 catches before that. Yeah, I can't possibly hold with you.
So what you're saying is he's due, because before that he was on a run of 4+ catches before that, but the last 2 games, yes, he's been below that mark.
He looked
4 catches for 37 yards.
That's all I need.
And then Cleveland.
I'll take 4 catches for -4 yards, Bo. It doesn't matter to me.
Damon, when he plays real teams like Buffalo, he had 3 catches for 29 yards against the Bills the last time.
Damon, I had money on an
played
anytime.
Buffalo twice this season. He had 1 catch for -2 yards when he was playing for the Titans.
I had a parlay bust last week because of an anytime touchdown.
No, he's got 4 catches combined in 2 games.
He's barely a full-time player now. Hollywood Brown's getting more run. Xavier Worthy, Damon, I hate that bet. Respectfully, I love you, my guy. I just there's a reason that's plus 280. That's Vegas telling you Hopkins is an afterthought right now. I would love to see D-Hop do well. I love DeAndre Hopkins, one of my all-time fave cards. But at the end of the day, he was a no-show last week against a secondary for Houston where Stingley's not even on him when he was in the game. So I'm folding. Bo, I assume you're folding as well?
Yeah, I already said I did.
Okay.
Told him
Let's
to
get
get
to
help.
enough of these appetizers. Let's get to the main event here. It is easily the biggest bet of the week, yet I feel the best about it of all of these bets, regardless of odds. Setting the scene here on Championship Sunday, there is no way in hell that Josh Allen does not have a rushing touchdown. When they get inside the 10, he is not giving the ball off to any of these scrub running backs. He's going to take it himself. I don't think the Bills win, but I think Josh Allen is going to do his best to try to will his team to victory. He had multiple rushing touchdowns last week. He is just in God mode at quarterback. That's hitting. And then Travis Kelce, I mentioned, they're missing their top safety is Buffalo. Their secondary's beat up. And then what happened last week, friends? Isaiah Likely tore them apart. Tore the Bills defense apart. And then Mark Andrews, Butterfingers, should have torn them apart too. Every time I looked at the screen, a wide open Ravens tight end was running wild. Now, Lamar had a bad game and Mark Andrews blew it, but the tight ends were open. It's a gap in their defense. Old reliable Travis Kelce at the end of the day. Look what he did last week, had a touchdown. I think this is hitting, and so much so. I have so much belief in this. I bet this myself. I took a screen capture of the ticket and I put it in our PHNX Cardinals Discord, gentlemen. That's how confident I am. Plus 310 right now. Get it.
I like it, but you were so disrespectful to me in my pick that it just makes me want to root against you more than anything. I do think Travis Kelce and Josh Allen score. One of those two is for sure happening 100%. I think two is, a tough call always on touchdown scores, but I do like it. I'll hold with you, Johnny.
Damon, I love you, and most of the time I like your bets. That Hopkins bet is bad. That's a bad bet. I love you, brother.
And here's where I feel even better right now. Johnny's stamp of it being bad is it makes me feel even more confident. And here's another factor that you guys didn't, put into my bet. The Cardinals, like this is Arizona Cardinals 101. DeAndre Hopkins, carrying the Chiefs to a Super Bowl in front of Cardinals fans.
Fair.
Just so everyone's sad on Twitter. I mean, that's what happens every year, I feel like, in some regards. So
I think you just picked the wrong ex-Cardinals receiver.
Wow.
Don't do it. Don't.
Last time Kelce played against the Bills, he had 2 catches for 8 yards. But yeah, they got problems.
My ex-wife, I did call James Cook a scrub because last week I had money on him to score, and he wet the bed, and he let other people take the ball from him inside the 10, namely Josh Allen and some other dirts. I hadn't seen them all year, and they came in and started scoring. Who are those backs for Buffalo? So I'm not confident. What happened to James Cook? He's in witness protection. Lost so much money. I had a parlay. It hit. It was money. It was money, baby. And James Cook, just allergic to the end zone. I'm off of him. Get him out of here. I don't want to see him again.
Well, good luck, Johnny. I will, I don't know. I think both of them hitting, even though those are two things I feel like in the last couple postseasons happen every game. I'll hold with you. I think that's tremendous value. Yes, I'm not going to be like, you were mean to me, so I'm not going to hold with you.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's mean to everybody all day on this show.
That's
the foundation of this show.
I thought you folded.
I said I want to root against him, but I'm holding his pick.
That's better. I appreciate it.
Again, you can see my ticket in our Discord at PHNX Cardinals. You got to be a diehard to see it if you're into that kind of thing. I put my own money on this bet, and I feel really good about it. I feel really good about all of you liking this video. Hold or fold the line. We only got one left after this week, unless we want to dabble on the Pro Bowl like real sickos. Let's get some super chats going. Only 2 today. That's all right. We got 645 people in the meantime watching, again, on the YouTube. Hit that like for our guy, Sweet Baby Trey McBride. Brian, my guy, $2. Johnny's haircut equals the villain of The Fifth Element. I have not seen that movie, but Brian has subsequently, I've noticed, tagged me on Twitter, side-by-side comparison that I will refuse to retweet. I will not be doing that, Brian. How dare you? I do not look like the villain from The Fifth Element. This is a normal haircut. This is what normal people look like. And can we need to move on. It's time to move on collectively.
It's pretty accurate. Gary Oldman's character from The Fifth Element.
Half of his head is shaved. He has no hair on this side.
Great call. It's a futuristic just headwear that he's got going on in that. So yeah, I see it, and I'll retweet it since Johnny won't.
Joey Kennedy, $4.99. Give me an A-tier established edge rusher, or give me death. The founding fathers, probably 100%. Yeah. What's Monti Ossenfort's definition of an A-tier? Because there was a lot of people in this fan base, Joey, during the trade deadline that actually about Baron Browning. And you know what Baron Browning did? 2 sacks. But you want to talk to me about pressures? You can shine up, an underwhelming free agent or a trade acquisition to fit your narrative. Be better than that, Monti Ossenfort. I'm begging you. Be better than that.
What if they got Azeez Ojulari on the free agent market?
No.
Not good enough?
He ended the year hurt. You want to add he and his brother together who have been hurt? Let's have all the hurt. Let's get all the hurt players here. Who else can we call up that's hurt that can come play for the Cardinals next year? Let's sign the all IR team. That'd be great.
Jeez, simple.
It's like you got to find here. Ossenfort last year, he's like, I added a bunch of guys who never get hurt. Well, great. And then this year, I'm adding guys with talent, but they're always hurt. How about go find players that are good, that don't get hurt? Oh, wait, those cost money? Welcome to the real world, Monty.
That boy, OD, $9.99, sneaking in a nice super chat here. Thank you so much, that boy, with Marv. Nice little Marv as his profile pic. Love the show, guys. Listen first thing in the morning, every day at work. Kyler is still my boy. LOL. Still our boy as well.
He is. I want good things for Kyler Murray. It's been nice. We've taken a break from talking K1 a lot on this show.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other things like top of priority. But I did see something today. It's like teams have started to meet with quarterbacks at like the Shrine Bowl. Like the Titans met with Shedeur Sanders at the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, I'm put you on the spot here on a 5:45 on a Friday afternoon. Will we get a notification this offseason during draft season? A quarterback that we know and of note meets with the Cardinals, yes or no?
Like Shedeur and Cam Ward?
Or like a Jalen Milroe or a Jackson Dart. Somebody.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. People will react probably pretty rationally to that when that happens.
I just don't think like Milroe, it's like he's a second, third rounder. Like they should do their homework on guys like that. Like I think those guys there's a lot of unknowns as far as you just know them from some of the play. Like you got to figure out a lot about Milroe, his makeup, and if he can take his skill set and can he improve on the next level. Like, so to do your homework, if you're going to utilize a day 2 pick or an early day 2 pick or late day 2 pick or a day 3 pick on him, I think you got to do your homework.
If you take a quarterback though early on day 2, like aren't you taking that quarterback to like be the guy eventually?
I mean, like Philly had no intention of Carson Wentz imploding and Jalen Hurts taking the job. I think as early as he did. Yeah, I think it's proven that you invest in that position, regardless if he's going to play for you. You can get value. Like if you can like plan to keep Kyler Murray as your franchise quarterback, draft a guy, continue to develop him, and then you could potentially, just like the Patriots used to do, trade him away for draft picks.
Did you guys know Jalen Milroe had 20 rushing touchdowns this year? 20 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback in the SEC. That's nuts. Terrence,
can he throw in rhythm? Like that's going to be.
I've watched.
Didn't look good in his last bowl game.
He didn't look good. Michigan, that was bad. He had his eye on the offseason.
He's working out. He looks like a beast, dude.
He's an elite athlete. Like we're just talking about, but so is Anthony Richardson. He can't play. So like you can't have that again. Let's sign Hassan Reddick, double-digit sacks. I like this so far. For sure. Do not hold Jets issues against him. He did not want to be there. He and JG and Eagles problems next year. This is not me. I did not write this, but I agree with it. Shut up, Bo.
It's exactly what you say. Like every other day.
It is the easiest thing to quantify. He is a productive edge rusher. He goes to the Jets. Everything implodes. He's available again. Guess what? Minimal wear and tear on his body because he sat out half the year. He wants to play for Gannon. If Hassan Reddick signs not tomorrow in free agency, how many sacks are you projecting him to have? And we do the whole
Hassan Reddick sign?
Yeah.
I mean, I would, if I'm going on Bet365 and I'm seeing his over under around like 7.5, I'm still a little uneasy making that bet.
Oh my God.
He had 1 sack. He had 2 half sacks
It
this
does
season.
not. It does not. That does not matter. It means nothing. The Jets are like football, like hell wasteland. I mean, what the Jets, bro? He didn't have a training camp. He didn't have an off season. He just showed up like
false
week
is
8.
that?
Well, I just mean like I'm assuming if he comes to the Cardinals, he's going to be around.
Yeah.
He'll be at OTAs and training camp. I could not.
I think he can be productive. I do think he's capable of a double-digit sack performance, but I also
Easily.
think things would have to go. You have to get him back on track.
I think it would take like a 1-period practice at you at State Farm Stadium and be like, oh shit, excuse my language, Hassan Reddick still got it. It's like, okay, we're good. I mean, it's hard for edge rushers to completely lose it. I'm sorry. When you're that, yeah, seriously. That's a position that usually ages pretty well. Yeah, Khalil Mack, top free agent.
Like, remember when they brought in Junkyard Dawg back and he was great, and then next season he just couldn't get to the quarterback.
I love Junkyard Dawg. He is not the caliber of athlete and pass rusher that Hassan Reddick is. Hassan Reddick once had a 17-sack season. Khalil Mack is 33 years old and he's a top free agent this offseason. That is going to be one of the biggest kind of sticking points between you and I in free agency of where he goes, what he gets paid for, were the Cardinals in on him, and then how we watch that unfold. Because I'm going to use it as a barometer. If they don't sign Josh Sweat or Hassan Reddick, we're going to have real problems on this show. It's going to be a problem.
If they get a interior defensive lineman, or they get one of the other guys, let's just say a Mac, or was it Kuntz from
oh my God,
the Raiders?
The Raiders.
He was hurt.
Again, how many?
He's right there around Hassan Reddick as far as like the free agent rankings go.
What's that guy ever done? What's he ever done?
He's had double-digit sacks, hasn't he? Malcolm Kuntz?
Don't let the audience be conditioned that that's the bar this offseason. That cannot be.
Well, you like saying that Hassan Reddick is the bar is also. I'm not convinced on that either.
Josh Sweater
if you got an Azizel, he had 8 sacks at 25 as a part-time player.
When was that?
2023.
What year are we in now?
Well, he was hurt. You're looking for a guy who had 2 half sacks for 1 full sack last year.
He basically sat out this year for personal reasons. I don't hold that against him. I don't want hurt players. Stop it. Hey, his best was 8 sacks.
Sorry, it's the NFL. Injuries do happen. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, they don't. Like this video. Bo and I could just scream at each other over pass rusher. I just want resolution, please. We could scream about Kyler Murray all day long, but pass rusher, man, do better. At least with Kyler Murray, it's like there aren't better options available. That's who you are. That's who your starter is. Cardinals are just like, let's just keep being bad at that position.
Our guy Fran Duffy's going to be out at the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah.
So you're looking for coverage this weekend. We'll definitely be retweeting some of his stuff and some key prospects. As he's mentioned, Cardinals, it's a hotbed for prospects there. Some guys that they end up drafting. So East-West Shrine Bowl, get that on your radar. And then next week, the Senior Bowl in Mobile, we'll have coverage from that as well. So
do us a favor. We got almost 700 people watching on a Football Friday. Like this video. Subscribe if you have not already. PHNX Sports. And Bo and I might crank up these mics this weekend if a certain offensive coordinator makes the Super Bowl, which could be a new kind of fresh hell that we have not experienced on this show. So yeah, are you rooting for Kliff and the Commanders?
Yes,
I am too.
We do not. Yeah, I'm rooting for Kliff. Like I want him to beat Philadelphia. He He already did, made me look bad back in week 4, and I'm past it. And he was able to change the narrative convincingly. Him and Jaden Daniels together, with Jaden Daniels carrying a lot of the weight, but he hasn't lost since November. So, and his offense has been so impressive.
Fun fact, we are jumping the fence. We're having a watch party at Kliff's house here in Arizona this weekend. No, we're not doing that. Like this video, subscribe. Again, big thanks to everybody. Banner week. Big thanks to our guy, Fran Duffy, the Duff Man. Again, give him a follow, F Duffy NFL. And he's going to be back next week. Senior Bowl is when we kick it into high gear for the offseason. In the meantime, for Damon, Bo, I'm Johnny Venerable. Have a safe, happy, and healthy weekend. See you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.